Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming. I'm the Shadow Secretary of State for Work and Pensions, but I will let you in on a secret. Welfare is not seen as the most glamorous portfolio in the Shadow Cabinet. Other jobs offer more prestige, but this is the job I asked Kemi to give me when she was putting together her Shadow Cabinet. Why? Because the future of our country depends on it, and because Labour is sadly and inevitably going to fail. As ever, they will leave the country in a worse state than they found it. Last time this happened, Ian Duncan-Smith led the work on a groundbreaking reform, the introduction of universal credit. Benefit claimants came down, unemployment came down, the benefits bill came down. But as you'll know, that isn't the whole story of our time in government. Through the pandemic, the benefits bill started to go up, specifically sickness benefits for mental health and neurodiversity. That means that Pat McFadden can point his finger at me and blame us for today's benefits bill. And in the spirit of contrition, we have to say, yes, that did happen under us. There are reasons, but as time is tight this morning, I'm going to focus on some of the lessons we have learned. Lessons which we are using as we work on our plan to fix the welfare system for the future. One of which is that you have to start with principles, conservative principles, principles that Kemi Badenoch and I share, like personal responsibility, backing people who do the right thing, supporting themselves and their family, saving for a rainy day, fairness, fair to those who pay in and those who've been dealt a hard hand in life and truly need help, and welfare as a safety net. We cannot have a country where someone who could work is better off on benefits. At the moment, if you score our welfare system against those principles, it scores poorly. It follows we have millions of people of working age on benefits, even when in places where there are jobs, a benefits bill soaring to a level we cannot afford, and working people saying, why should I bother? Especially after Labour's latest budget. And give me a moment to point out the absurdity of their latest announcement to spend nearly £1 billion on work placements and state-subsidised jobs. They're taxing real jobs, so there are fewer of them, to spend that money on creating fake jobs. So, Labour will not fix this, nor do we see any other party with a plan. So we are doing the hard work, hand in hand with many experts, some of you in the room, and people who are caught in this system too, but want to change it. Thank you to everyone who is helping us. We must not follow in the footsteps of this lousy Labour government who turned up without a clue. We have to be ready with a plan. Our party leader is coming here today to tell you more about this work. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a massive pleasure to introduce this morning the leader of the opposition and the Conservative Party, Kemi Badenoch.
Thank you, and good morning, everybody. Thank you. So on Friday, I worked a shift in a cafe with James Cleverly, the Shadow Housing Secretary. It's been a long time since I worked behind a till serving customers. I'd never made a cappuccino or a latte before, and I learned that I'm not good at doing that. James and I are both former Secretaries of State, former cabinet ministers, but we started out working in jobs like that, in shops, in cafes. You will all know my first job was at McDonald's, and then I went on to New Look. But the point is, we didn't start at the top. We started at the bottom and worked our way up. And I bet many of you here this morning have similar stories. But today we are seeing a lot of people not taking jobs because they think that those jobs are beneath them. The Conservative Party believes in the dignity of work. And that is why James and I decided to do a shift at this cafe. And at the end of the shift, we sat down and spoke to the owner, Ruth, asked her how things were going, and what she said to us was heartbreaking. She has had an incredibly difficult time. She'd recently been through a divorce, she lost her house, she didn't know where the money was going to come from. Every day, she was just getting up and going to work to run this cafe. And I asked her how Labour's budget had impacted her. And she burst into tears. She told us that not only is she going to have to pay yet more in tax after being promised by the Chancellor last year that she wouldn't, but she was not going to get the business rates relief which she was expecting. And while she was struggling, millions of people who refused to work, the sort of people who turned their noses up at a job in cafes, they are going to be rewarded. She agreed with us that Labour's budget was a budget for benefit streets. Labour sent a very clear message that if you work hard and you do the right thing, you will get less, but if you are on benefits, you will get more. Right now, in Britain, there are more than 6 million people of working age who are claiming benefits instead of working. That is more than the entire population of Norway that we are paying to sit at home. This is completely crazy. And where is the money coming from to pay these people to sit at home? How are we funding that? We're funding it by taxing businesses, taxing jobs, taxing wealth creators. The people in our country who get out of bed and make things happen, we're making life harder for them. This is economic suicide. And I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, Britain will get poorer and more ambitious countries will one by one overtake us. What last month's budget showed is that Labour have given up on people like Ruth. Last year, they raised taxes and destroyed jobs. And because of that, we now have hundreds of thousands fewer people in work. We have 1 million more people claiming universal credit since last year's budget. Not since the election, since last year's budget, 1 million more people are on universal credit. They could have done something about this. They could have changed course, they could have backed business, brought taxes down, but instead they taxed hard-working people to pay for benefits. The fact is, Labour do not have the ideas to create growth and get Britain working again. So they've retreated into their comfort zone. And now, because of the political pressure that Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves are under, we can all see they're more interested in saving their jobs than creating jobs. They are retreating back to that comfort zone. Labour will claim that they raise taxes to eradicate child poverty. We Conservatives need to take on this argument that raising taxes on working people is the best way to eradicate poverty. It is not. Labour believe that the way to end poverty is give money to people in poverty and give them more money until they're not in poverty anymore. This has never worked. The best way to get children out of poverty is for their parents to have jobs and for those jobs to pay well. But Conservatives also need to challenge bad metrics and wrong assumptions that create flawed policy. Let us start with the metric of relative poverty, which Labour use. Relative poverty just tells you what proportion of households earn below 60% of median income. That is not a measure of poverty at all. It is a bad measure because in a booming economy, as incomes rise, more people can be classed as being in poverty even though their real income is rising. And then during a recession, like we had under the last Labour government, where GDP collapsed and unemployment went through the roof, relative poverty fell, even though we were all poorer. So it is not enough for us to challenge the policy. We have to challenge the thinking that underpins it. We need something better. I have long said that Britain is at risk of becoming a welfare state with an economy attached. Well, under Labour, there won't be an economy to attach for much longer, not the way that we're going. In Hackney alone, 1,000 families on benefits with 5 or 6 children stand to gain £74 million from the lifting of the 2-child benefit cap. Some of those families will be getting more than £14,000 a year. At the budget, income tax thresholds were frozen. So do you know how many people's thresholds were frozen just to pay for those families in Hackney? We're not talking about the whole country, just the families in Hackney. The number we have found is 340,000 taxpayers. That is where that threshold money is going to come from. 340,000 taxpayers to pay for just 1,000 families. It's no wonder people are angry. At the same time that those on the minimum wage are agonizing over whether or not they can afford another child, people on benefits will get paid an extra £3,500 for every child they have because Labour is lifting the 2-child benefit cap. We know that worklessness is often passed down through generations. Just last year, we saw the fastest increase of children in workless households that we have ever had. There are now more children in the UK growing up in households where no one works than the entire population of Estonia. That is correct. More children growing up in a household where no one works than every single person in Estonia. This is crazy. It is also heartbreaking, and the government should be doing everything in their power to fix it. But we all know that they don't know how. I could spend all day listing all the things that Labour is getting wrong. It's really fun, and we can sit back and just count them, one by one. But it's too easy. It's too easy. Our job is not to moan. Our job is to fix. And I worry about what the country is going to look like after 4 more years of Labour. I know that we're going to have to be ready to deal with the mess that they leave behind. How are we going to do that? Adam Smith once said, "There is a lot of ruin in a nation." For all that is going wrong now, and let's be honest, has gone wrong in the past, it didn't all start under Labour, we know that nations can absorb shocks. Look at what we had to deal with: the financial crisis, Brexit, COVID, a war in Ukraine. We know, though, that countries with strong institutions and productive people do not collapse overnight. Even foolish policies take time to do real, lasting damage. And yes, while a crisis is serious, they are not fatal unless governments keep repeating the mistakes. Let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen. We made mistakes in government, but we have learned from them. That's why we have a plan, and that's why we're building on it. We need to get people into jobs. We have a jobs crisis. Since Labour came into office, unemployment has risen every single month. Yes, every single month. Someone has to do the work to turn this around. So Conservatives are going to make it our crusade to get Britain working again. Every person who gets off benefits and into work is a double whammy for growth. We stop paying them to sit at home, and they start paying into the system. This is how we reduce the tax burden, especially on businesses who are then able to go out, create more opportunity and more jobs. This is the opposite of Labour's current doom loop, where they raise taxes and kill jobs, so they then need to raise even more taxes. That's not going to fix anything. My team and I have worked out some of the fixes that could start today. You would have heard some of them at conference. We identified £23 billion of savings from doing things like restricting benefits to those who are not British citizens, reducing eligibility for low-level mental health issues, and so much more. We could do that today, but we all know it is not enough. A lot of what's going on in our country is more complicated, and it's going to take so much hard work heavy lifting, and joined-up thinking to solve. That's what I want to talk to you about today, that joined-up thinking. So today, we are launching our campaign to get Britain working again. And throughout next year, my Shadow Chancellor Mel Stride, Shadow Business Secretary Andrew Griffiths, and Shadow Work and Pension Secretary Helen Waitley and I are going to work together, along with Shadow Cabinet. We're going to be reviewing some of the most challenging and complicated aspects of work and welfare in this country and figure out how we can get millions more people into work. We are going to tackle big questions, like how can we make sure that we have the right incentives so that people are always better off in work. We will review every circumstance in which benefits are currently paying more than work. We will undertake a full review of the level and operation of the household benefit cap, which currently acts more like a sieve than a cap, because most people on benefits avoid it through one exemption or another. Exemptions like being diagnosed with anxiety. Being diagnosed with anxiety can be worth more than £20,000 to some families. A lot of people don't know the scale of the problem. A lot of people don't know how bad it is. Quite simply, our sickness benefit system was not designed to handle the age of diagnosis which we now live in. So we are also going to review which conditions the state treats as disabilities when it comes to benefits. All of us will have physical and mental challenges at some point in our lives. All of us will. But in an age in which 1 in 4 people now self-report as disabled, it's clear that we are now going to have to draw a line on what health issues the state can support people with. The government can't do everything. So this is a review that we will do carefully over time with medical and employment experts to make sure that we get it right. We want people to get the support they need, but very often people should be getting support into work rather than cash payments to sit at home. The fact is, in 2025, with the option of remote working and advances in treatments for many conditions, lots of disabled people can and do work. Conservatives believe that work provides purpose and can improve all lives. Work, contribution, purpose give you value, they give you dignity. The chance to change your life circumstances and support the people you care about. That's what work gives you. So we are going to look at what form state support should come in and how long it should last. And we are going to back businesses who invest in supporting the health of their staff. We're going to make it easier for small businesses to adopt some of those good practices without piling more bureaucracy and more red tape on them. That's not what they need. The next thing we're going to do is the hard yards on making sure that our education system equips people with the skills and attitudes they need for the jobs of our time and for the future. Conservatives did it before, we will do it again. Instead of having thousands of students racking up debt on low-value degrees, we are going to boost our apprenticeship system. We're going to double the number of apprenticeships. I often talk about working at McDonald's and New Look. I talk about my degrees in law and engineering. Many people don't know that I had an apprenticeship for a year. And I still remember more from that 1 year using my hands than I do from actually both of the degrees that I did. We want to boost apprenticeships, helping young people and sectors of the economy like construction, which for far too long have relied on migrant labour because we haven't prepared our young people to work in their industry. That is what apprenticeships can do. And we're also going to look in detail at the 1 million young people currently not in education, employment or training. This is a long-running problem which is getting worse under Labour. We need to do something about it. We have a responsibility to those children. Instead of thousands of children dropping out in their teens because they don't see the point of school, we are going to get them on the path to skills and work. But it's not just young people we're going to help. We're also going to look at what we can do to get people who have been out of work for years or even decades back into the workforce. We're going to look at tax. How can we make sure that we have a tax system that doesn't crush people like Ruth? Make sure we do not have that. We need to have a tax system that should be encouraging people to start a business, not encouraging them to close their business. How can we make sure that we have a high growth economy that is not reliant on immigration? Relying on immigration to boost our economy is a Ponzi scheme. It is not fair to take talent out of poorer countries while failing to grow our own. But we're never going to solve these problems unless we look at the fundamentals. We need to look at what we have been doing, not just for the last year or the last 5 years, but the last 30 years, the last 40 years, and start building an economy fit for the future rather than just tweaking the things that we've done in the past. We need to look at our oil and gas industry. We need to make sure that we get Britain drilling again. We need to look at our manufacturing industry. We need to get Britain building again. So Helen, Andrew, Mel and I, they're all here today, are spearheading the new Conservative Economic Unit. This new unit, working together, will leave no stone unturned. And by the time of the next election, we're going to have a detailed plan for how we can embark on a journey to get every single person in Britain who can work to work. And we want everyone who can help us on that journey to get involved. Most of the answers are not sitting in the civil service or in Whitehall or in government. Most of the answers are out there. So if you're a business, we want you to tell us what is going wrong and what you want us to fix. Tell us what is wrong so we can get out of the way so you can create growth. I said it again and again. I will never get tired of saying it. It is not government that creates jobs. It is business that creates jobs. If you are someone who's looking for work and are not able to find it, we want to hear what you're struggling with. What is the problem? What would help you overcome the challenges you're facing without it being the government spending more and more money on benefits? We need Britain to be one of the best places in the world to start and run a business. We need to get our wealth creators back from Dubai. We need young people to see Britain as the place to build something, not as a place to escape from. Imagine what this will actually look like in communities where no one currently works. Let's get some hope out there. We are not the doom and gloom party. We're not the welfare party. That's Labour. We want to talk about how we will do this for our high streets, what we're going to do for public services. We are going to turn Britain from a welfare state into an opportunity state and together get Britain working again. Thank you all for taking the time to be here this morning. I believe I have some questions from the media, but I don't have a list of people to ask the questions from. So I'm just going to have to take questions from the room. Dylan, if you can point out who was on the list. Camilla Tominey's got her hand up, so she'll go first. Camilla Tominey.
First of all, I just wondered in your team that is going to be looking at welfare, whether you're going to be consulting Ian Duncan Smith, who obviously created universal credit. And second of all, are you convinced that the £23 billion worth of cuts you've previously announced to welfare are enough when the last budget shows that that's simply the amount that benefits are going to go up over the course of the next Parliament? So basically, you're only really cutting the rise. You're not cutting the bill with your proposal that you made at conference.
So, thank you, Camilla. So I think I'll start by saying IDS is the father of welfare reform. I don't think that we would be able to do this without his help and advice. He is somebody who did it once before, and he did it against a lot of obstruction. So many people were telling him it could never be done. and he did it. But the problems that we had 2010 to 2015 are different from the problems we have now. People often ask, why didn't you sort this before? This is new. This is different. 1 million people now on universal credit than just the last budget. 5,000 new people each day claiming health and sickness benefits. When we left office, it was 2,000 too high. So this is a new problem that we want to crack down on. And you are absolutely right to talk about that 23 billion. No, it's not enough, but we've got to start from somewhere. And each day that Labour puts more and more people on benefits creates a bigger problem for Conservatives to solve later. And I do want people to realise there is only one party that is even interested in talking about this. Labour, Reform, the Lib Dems, all of them wanted to lift the two-child benefit cap. All of them want more welfare. There is only one party of fiscal responsibility, getting the government to live within its means, and that is the Conservative Party. There's now a list on the screen, so I can go to Sam Coates from Sky.
Kemi Badenoch, Sam Coates, Sky News. When you mentioned relative poverty in your speech, there were groans from the audience. I'm wondering, does poverty in any form bother you? And do you see it as the role of the government to help the 2/3 of children and adults in poverty who are already in work, have someone in work in that household?
Yes. Of course it bothers me. I remember a time when I didn't have much money at all. I had to work at the same time as I was going to college. I was on the minimum wage, fending for myself. So I know what it's like, and I know that there are many people in worse off situations. But the way to deal with poverty is not by taking money from the people who are struggling and then giving it to those on benefits. We now have a situation where the people who aren't working are better off than those in work. That doesn't fix poverty at all. And if we continue down this path, we're going to run out of money, which means that there are not going to be any benefits for anybody at all, especially those who are most vulnerable, those who really need it. What we're trying to do is make sure that the system doesn't collapse. We need a welfare system. Of course we do. We need that safety net. But we mustn't become a welfare state. That's a completely different thing. So let's do those things that tackle poverty. Look at children in schools, for example. Absence from school is a serious problem closely linked to poverty. Many of those people will go, who are not in school today, those children, will go on to become poor in the future. And Labour has actually changed the rules so that children with low-level mental health conditions like ADHD, they don't have to, their parents can still get benefits even if they don't go to school at all. Those are the sorts of things that Labour is doing that I believe will make things worse. We have to be firm and fair, and that's what the Conservative offer is about. Let's tackle poverty, but let's do it the right way, not by messing around with the statistics or making another group of people poorer, but by creating jobs, creating wealth, and getting Britain working again. Next question, Olivia Utley, GB News.
Good morning. You talk of a welfare bill with a state attached. The IFS estimates that the triple lock costs £11 billion more a year than if the state pension simply rose in line with earnings. Is the triple lock really still a good use of taxpayer money?
So I get asked this question again and again. The fundamental problem in our country is that we are not growing. Tackling, changing the triple lock just means that we're still moving money around. It's the same kind of thinking of taking from those who don't have very much and giving to another group. If we were growing at 2 to 3%, there would be no one talking about the triple lock. Triple lock is Conservative policy. Let's start with growth measures. If you take somebody out of welfare and get them into work, you are creating growth. If you cut people's pensions, you're not creating growth. So let's focus on growth and wealth creation. There's only one party that knows how to do that. Lots of people can divide money that's already existing, but the only people who actually know how to create wealth, create growth as a government are Conservatives. That's what the economic unit with Helen, Mel and Andrew are going to be working on. It needs a lot of deep thinking. We have people in business out there helping us. That's what we will do to make sure that we don't have child poverty, but we don't create pension poverty either. The next question from Henry Zeffman of the BBC.
Thank you. You said you were going to review which conditions the state treats as disability when it comes to benefits. Is it solely the sorts of mental health conditions that you've talked about that you're thinking of there, or are there other conditions, for example, physical conditions, that concern you?
Well, one of the things that we know is that in 2025, there are advancements that mean that lots of disabled people can work. I saw this even when I was business secretary in government. And we have talked about a lot of low-level mental health issues that should not qualify. The ADHD diagnosis can get a family an extra £20,000. That is not right. But the detail of where we need to draw the line is going to be done by our economic units. This campaign to get Britain working again is serious. Right now, there is no line. People can just say that they can't work, that they're anxious, and they get benefits. That's why we have more children in workless households than the entire population of Estonia. That's why we have more people out of work than the entire population of Norway. This is not sustainable. Someone has to look at this and fix it. That's going to be us. Jason Groves from the Mail.
Thank you. You mentioned there's 6 million people who could work, who are not working about that. How many of those do you think could work? Is it a quarter? Is it half? Is it more? And do you think you can never get back to the kind of pre-pandemic levels of spending on welfare, or is that ship sailed now?
We can get back to the pre-pandemic level of welfare. And even then, it was high. We have people who are working just enough hours to be able to keep their benefits, people working 9 hours, 16 hours. We need to look at, we need to look at the taper. Does it still make sense? We need to look at so many things. And what we're seeing from the government, and sometimes we did this too, I saw it even when we were in government, is just little tweaks here and there. We'll change a little bit here and hope that it gets better. We need to look at systemic change. We need to do something that's really bold, really radical, and we need to explain to the public what we're doing, why, and how. That requires deep work. What we're not going to do is what Labour did, wake up one day and decide that they're going to snatch away the winter fuel payment without explaining what, why, and how. We're not going to just, impose a tax on farmers. We're going to scrap those taxes because we actually think that they stop people like farmers and small businesses from working. So all of this is joined up. This is not just about welfare. This is about getting Britain working again. Welfare is one aspect. Business growth is another aspect. Taxes are an aspect. And it has to be joined up. Just this piecemeal way of tweaking here and tweaking there and crossing our fingers and hoping that everything is going to be fine has not worked for the last few years. It's definitely not working now. It's going to get worse. That's why we are going to have a plan to fix it. Peter Walker from The Guardian.
Well, I understand that you see that there's this kind of moral mission to get more people back to work, and know that Mel Stride in his former job has done a lot of work on this. Do you sometimes worry that the tone and the language of it can at times feel a bit stigmatising and nasty, the idea of a benefit street budget and the diagnosis age, or whatever the phrase was you used? Do you think that politicians perhaps have to be slightly careful with their language with things like this?
I think that politicians should be careful with language all the time, but I don't think there's anything wrong in what I said. In fact, what was astounding was how many people from across the country wrote to me saying, thank you for saying what we're thinking. We spend a lot of time trying so hard not to upset people or say anything that might ruffle any feathers, that we end up creating a system that is unworkable. So I am very happy to be the person who tells it like it is, who gets to it straight. I'm very happy to do that. But I do want people to know that what we are doing is the right thing. It is going to be fair. It's going to be fairer than what we have now. It is not fair that a lot of people are going out there working and they are living poorer lives than those on benefits. So I won't apologise for the language I've used. I'm actually very careful with my language, but I use language that's going to cut through. We spent a lot of time talking in technocratic, using technocratic language. Nobody understood what we were doing or why we were doing it. People will understand what the Conservatives under my leadership will do. That's very important to me, but I want them to know that we will always be firm but fair. Thank you. David Hughes, PA.
Thank you very much, David Hughes from the Press Association. Do you think there is a mental health crisis in this country, or do you think people are seeking a diagnosis purely to claim benefits, which is what you appear to be suggesting?
I think it's a bit of both, actually. I think that people not being in work actually develop more severe mental health issues than those people who are in work. There is a virtuous circle that is being created. But we know that there are some people who are gaming the system. We know this. They are on Instagram, and they call themselves sickfluencers. They actually say, this is what you do. This is what you say when you pick up the phone. You tell them that you're too anxious to come in. So we've seen it. We know that there are people exploiting the system. A million more people have gone on universal credit since Labour came into office. That number of 5,000 new people each day claiming health and sickness benefits, that can't be right. 1 in 4 people self-reporting as disabled in surveys cannot be right. Something has gone wrong, and that's what we need to look at. We're not going to over-speculate. We know something is wrong, and when something is wrong, somebody has to look at what is going on rather than just believe that the system as it is fine and it should just continue as it is. Let's get under the skin of what is causing this problem, and then we can fix it. Right. Well, I think that comes to the end of this session for media questions. I want to thank everyone for being here this morning. I know that you all have busy jobs and busy lives, and I appreciate your presence here this morning. Thank you. We're going to get written working again.
Thank you everyone for coming. Please make your way to the nearest exit.
1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Can you hear me, Adam? Can you hear me? One, two. Hello. 1, 2, 2, 2. You in the right channel? Are you in the right channel? Do you need to go into the menu?
Just this mic going. I'm getting sort of mid-level for both, but now that this is on, it's very, very low. I wonder if this is
Is that messing you up? If it's messing you up, take it off. Too late. Gonna put it about there, okay?
perfect.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hello, hello, hello. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. 1, 2. You hear me? Yep. Okay, everybody good?
Well, not for yourselves. Yeah, so it's yeah, it's just so as they're able to check because they will have their pages in front of them. So yeah, it's just. I don't want them there. Half past. Yeah. Well, it's just as I say, what I didn't want to come down is them and then flipping it's going everywhere. They're coming that way and we'll probably come this way because I think it's easier, there's more room. Okay. All right. Cool. Awesome.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You hearing that okay?